Welcome to this cross-functional Broadcom course in which we focus on a use case showing how to incorporate automated and manual remediation in standard IT operations. An organization relies on process automation to support its IT business. It looks to establish automated procedures to remediate issues when they occur, like failures, delays, and stalls. In the real world, remediation is quite complex. It requires implementation and advanced configuration expertise, knowledge of scripting, and third-party applications. Our job in this course is to keep it to a simple workflow involving a handful of objects with minimal development. In truth, remediation is best done with a ticketing system, in our case, ServiceNow. A significant part of this course is dedicated to the ServiceNow integration. The workflow incorporates simple objects like prompt sets, filters, and calls. The process generates a large file in one agent and then attempts to transfer it to a remote system via job F. We build basic mechanisms to simulate failures at various points and then show how these failures can be addressed. The core process will fail twice and then rely on ServiceNow and human intervention to address the problem as the third and ultimate solution. This is the process. We generate a large file averaging around 250 megabytes on one system and then transfer it to another in a directory called /files. The directory has a disk space limit of a little over 21 gigabytes, and we want to simulate systemic space problems leading to repeated transfer failures. This happens because the directory contains some files that take most of the space. There are two types of files, current and old. The old files are archives. Ideally, we want to hold on to the current files, but the archives can be cleaned out if necessary. When the transfer happens, there may or may not be enough space. The remediation attempts to remove the archives before attempting the file transfer a second time. We build a system that can simulate the failure of the cleaning process. If that happens, the workflow progresses to ServiceNow. Automic creates and updates an incident, as well as a change request, prompting a user to remove the archives manually. We've modeled the workflow. The core jobs create a file on agent 1, which we call local, and a file transfer that moves the file to a remote agent 2. Jobs are in the blue color and the file transfer is gray. If the job F fails, we trigger a message using a call object notifying AWI users of the failure. This call object is shown in red. If the job F succeeds, the workflow ends. If it fails, it attempts automated remediation by triggering a job that removes the old files from the remote system. We've purposely built an interactive mechanism to simulate the failure of the cleaning job, which explains the red border. If the job succeeds, the file transfer is attempted a second time. If it fails, we proceed with ServiceNow with the green action boxes. Automic creates an incident, adds a comment to that incident, and updates the status to in progress. It then creates a change request, prompting an operator to delete the archives manually and then approve the change request. The workflow is suspended until the approval is given. Then the file transfer is attempted one last and final time. We have a couple of additional jobs for testing and demo. The first one preemptively empties out /files on the remote system merely for demo purposes. The second job, also optional, creates the large volume of test files, again so the demo works. This is the workflow. It has two yes/no prompts, feeding the answers as values to variables. The first creates the initial volume of files. If we answer no, then the directory is presumably empty, and the first transfer succeeds without need for further remediation. If we answer yes, the transfer fails due to a lack of space. The second prompts us to clean /files. If we say yes, the second transfer succeeds. If no, it fails and moves on to ServiceNow. The objects are as follows. Initial file def empty /files. File creator initial creates the initial set of files and /files. It has a condition based on the values fed by the prompt set responses. If yes, the directory remains empty. File creator main creates the large local file to be transferred. The presence of the initial testing files leads to an obvious space problem. Job F transfer moves the file and fails based on circumstances. A filter object scans the output of the file transfer for string not enough space. If found, it sets the exit code to 1 with a message. We also trigger a call object, which issues a message to the AWI console. Step 2 is the first remediation phase. An optional job deletes the archives and slash files. The transfer is attempted a second time. Step 3 calls for human intervention by ways of a ServiceNow procedure. We create an incident with a simple lifecycle involving a comment and status change. We create a change request, which requires an approval. The CR prompts IT operations to remove the archives manually. They do so, then set the CR status to approved. Until then, the workflow is suspended so as to ensure that the file transfer is not attempted. Once the CR is set to approved, the transfer completes along with the workflow.